Sid, thanks for taking the time to meet with us today.
I appreciate it.
First question, just tell us a little bit about your background and why you're running for mayor.
So I've been on the city council for 2 terms. I'm in my middle of my 2nd term right now. I know the mayor is stepping down this year. He's been there for 12 years. And we're going to have a fairly new council next year. I think it's really important that we have some great leadership up there and somebody that's going to guide the city going forward. And you know, I believe that the things that I believe in, the principles that I have, really fit in with Kalispell and the direction that Kalispell wants to go. So, you know, I believe that I'm the right choice for mayor.
Yeah, and Sid, what is one key issue you think Kalispell is facing, and how would you address it?
So, you know, our number one issue is housing, and it's been housing since 2020. And even before that, people were starting to move here. We were in a very bad situation and basically 2021 was when it started really happening. We had less than 1% available housing, and that's untenable. That basically means nobody has a place to live. Your kids graduate from high school or college, there's no way that they can move here because there's nowhere to live. And it also drove prices like sky high. In fact, in 2021, I actually lost the house that I was renting because they decided to sell because the price was up so much. So we had a month to move out during 2021, during COVID, when there was nothing available. And I had to move somewhere in Ward 4 or I would lose my council seat. So it was a very stressful time. So I really understand kind of what people go through in those situations. And, you know, as far as housing is concerned, we've done a great job of meeting the emergency demand that we had. We're starting to crawl out of it. If you look in the paper now, you'll see apartments for rent, you'll see houses for sale. You didn't see that a few years ago. So we kind of have to pull out of that emergency response now. And the people of Kalispell are fatigued. They are very tired of the amount of growth that we've had here. And truthfully, we've been carrying the water for the county here as far as a city is concerned. We've built here. We're trying to drive prices down to make sure that your kids can stay here instead of having to move elsewhere. And, you know, we did a great job there, but it's time to really start doing some introspection on where we want to grow. We don't want to keep growing out into the countryside. We want to build in the city if we can. There's a lot of pockets of county in here and a lot of underutilized areas. That's where we need to build. And I'm going to be very cautious moving forward about sprawling out into the countryside. And the council does have control over that. Even though if it might be in our growth plan, the council is the entity that decides whether we're going to annex a piece of you know, county into the city or not. And we also set the zoning for that. So one of the things that I really don't like is abrupt changes in density. So, you know, I don't want to plop a bunch of multifamily right inside a residential neighborhood with single family homes. I'd like there to be a gradual increase in density. And if they're building in a certain area, I'd rather that density was in the middle so that it doesn't disrupt the neighbors that much.
Okay, and Sid, you kind of touched on it there, but Kalispell is one of the fastest growing cities in the state. What's your plan for handling continued growth?
So continued growth, I basically just spelled that out. So we're going to take a really hard look at future developments. And, you know, depending on who you have as mayor and depending on who gets elected into the council, that may be more of a challenge because we have some that are very development friendly and we have some that are opposed to the growth. So I think that we all agree that if we're going to grow, the best thing to do is grow inside the city.
And Sid, cost of living is a big deal in the Flathead. How do you plan to make housing more affordable for Kalispell residents?
So like I said, we started out with less than 1% available housing during this crisis. I'm guessing we're at about 3 or 4% available right now. When you get to 6%, according to free market research has been done, that's when competition really kicks in and that's when prices drop because they're competing for you to live there. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting close. And at this time, it's time to really take a look at that and start measuring where we're at. Our housing prices here and our rent's always going to be higher than most of Montana because we live in this tourist, beautiful area, and we're going to be competitive with like Bozeman and Missoula as far as housing costs go. So we'll never get down to what like Great Falls has, where I grew up, but it can get a lot better, and it will get a lot better with competition.
Okay, and Sid, do you think downtown Kalispell needs to be revitalized?
So I do think that there's an advantage to revitalizing downtown. Downtown Kalispell is our cultural center. And we've seen that kind of shift to the north with the box stores. The box stores really don't have a culture, right? So yes, I do believe that revitalization is important, but I think it's naturally coming as well. We have people that are starting to move downtown. We have people that are moving along the new apartments that are being built on the Parkline Trail. Those are built-in customers for these businesses down here. I think that in and of itself is going to do the best job of revitalizing downtown. The city has delivered all the infrastructure that it needs there. Unfortunately, it's on one side of the street. So the buildings on the other side of the street have a problem tying into that because they have to go under basically Highway 93 to get there. And it's very costly to dig it up. It's also very costly to use the new technology to burrow under to get to that infrastructure. And the only infrastructure that really they need to do that for is for the fire safety water. And that's what will allow people to have apartments and people living on the second and third floors of their buildings. So that is of a concern to me. We're already looking at plans, and we have been looking at plans on City Council for the last few years on how to correct that situation. So there's a possibility that we can, at certain intervals, extend